When you think of Iran, you think of this, right? Ancient Persia, dry plateaus, and deserts stretching to the horizon. And if you're aware of its geography, maybe you think of snow-capped mountains or volcanoes. But not this. A rainforest in Iran, where mist clings to ancient trees like breath, where moss carpets every surface, and when rainfall approaches even Amazonian levels. This is the Hyrcanian Forest of northern Iran, and most people have no idea it exists. This rainforest is also sometimes known as the Caspian Hyrcanian Forest. And in today's video, we're going to explore one of Earth's most ancient and unexpected ecosystems. And it may just change how you view Middle East and Central Asian geography. And as always, this is Ali, and welcome back to Urban Atlas. The Hyrcanian forests of Iran cover approximately 55,000 square kilometers along the southern shores of the Caspian Sea, spanning parts of northern Iran and Azerbaijan. In Iran, this entire ecoregion stretches across 5 provinces from east to west: North Khorasan, Golistan, Mazandaran, Gilan, and Erdebil. It forms a continuous forested belt for about 1,000 kilometers, but it's remarkably narrow. In some places, it's actually only about 10 kilometers wide. This strange distribution is because of the dramatic geography here. You see, these forests occupy the northern slopes of the Alborz mountain range, which rise dramatically along the southern shore of the Caspian Sea. The shore is actually about 28 meters below sea level. Because the Caspian, it's not at sea level at all. It actually is an enclosed body of water sitting 28 meters below sea level. And from here, the Alborz Mountains climb to over 2,800 meters. The largest peak here, Mount Damavand, rises to over 5,600 meters, dominating the surrounding landscape. And this is exactly what makes this geography so unique. Within just a few kilometers of horizontal distance, you transition through multiple climate zones. The mountains capture moisture-laden air from the Caspian, forcing it upward where it cools and then releases precipitation. The northern slopes receive up to 1,600 millimeters of rainfall annually. This is actually temperate rainforest levels. But cross the ridgeline to the south, and you're in a semi-arid plateau receiving barely 300 millimeters. On one side, you see lush, green, humid forests dripping with life, and on the other, you see the Iranian plateau, arid, vast, and austere. This unique ecosystem all starts with the Caspian Sea. This massive body of water, which is often considered the world's largest lake, acts as a giant humidifier. Water is evaporated constantly from the surface of the Caspian Sea, loading the air with moisture. Prevailing winds now blow this air south and west. And here they hit a giant wall, the Alborz mountain range. And as this humid air is forced up the mountain slopes, it cools. And cool air can't hold as much moisture as warm air, so the water vapor condenses. The result? Rain, and lots of it. And because of this, the northern slopes of the Alborz Mountains receive anywhere from 900 to 1,600 millimeters of rain annually. To put that into perspective, the city of London, England receives up to 600 millimeters of rain per year, while another famously wet city, Seattle, receives up to 1,000 millimeters of rain per year. And as you cross over to the southern side of the Alborz, the geographical contrast is immense. Because here, it feels like a different world. This region of the Iranian plateau receives as little as 200 millimeters of rain annually. The Alborz create a dramatic rain shadow here. The Caspian Sea does more than provide the area with water. It also acts as a giant moderator. You see, water has a high thermal inertia. It heats up and cools down slowly. In summer, the sea keeps the coastal areas cooler than the interior. And in winter, it's the opposite. It keeps this area warmer. And this creates a relatively mild but stable climate all year round. However, precipitation patterns aren't evenly distributed throughout the year. Summers are actually the driest time of the year, while autumn and spring are a lot more humid and rainy. As with many other temperate rainforests around the world, fog here is quite crucial, even in the drier summer months. In a way, the forest creates its own microclimate. Trees transpire, release water vapor through their leaves. Then this moisture rises, condenses in the cool mountain air, and creates fog that blankets the forest. As you climb in elevation, conditions tend to change, as lower slopes are the warmest and wettest through temperate rainforest conditions. However, mid-elevations are cooler, but still humid. And as you get to the top, the upper slopes, above 2,000 meters, they transition to more subalpine conditions with colder temperatures and snow in the winters. Now, this unique ecosystem creates favorable conditions for biodiversity. Many of the species found here are actually found nowhere else on Earth. The forest is dominated by deciduous broadleaf trees. About 32% of the volume of the Hyrcanian Forest is oriental beech. But other species like oak, maple, and alder can also be found in these forests. In total, approximately 150 native species of trees and shrubs can be found here, as well as 60 species of mammals, 340 species of birds, 67 species of fish, 29 species of reptiles, and 9 species of amphibians, making it one of the most unique ecologies in the world. But despite the immense biodiversity of the region, one of the most famous carnivorous species that existed in this forest can no longer be found, not just here, but anywhere in the world. You see, this region was once home to the Caspian tiger, a cousin of the modern Siberian and Bengal tigers. This species went extinct primarily due to overhunting. The last known individual seen in the Hyrcanian Forest was seen in 1958, and the species officially went extinct in 1970. However, there are some unconfirmed reports of this tiger species being seen as late in 1997 in Afghanistan. Other notable species that can be found in the Hyrcanian Forest include the brown bear, the jackal, and the lynx. And my personal favorite, the elusive Persian leopard. While these beautiful cats can be found throughout Middle East, West Asia, and parts of Central Asia, the Hyrcanian Forest of Iran are perhaps their most important habitat. They are the apex predators here, hunting wild boar, deer, and smaller mammals. And like I mentioned previously, Eurasian brown bears inhabit these forests, particularly in the more remote northern sections. The biodiversity really is special here, and perhaps is best illustrated by the fact that 44% of the vascular plants known in Iran are found in this Hyrcanian region, which only covers about 7% of the country. But like many other ancient ecosystems around the world, the Hyrcanian forests face enormous pressures. These forests have been used by humans for millennia. Local communities today have harvested timber, grazed their animals, collected plants. The last century brought industrial-scale impacts. Logging, both legal and illegal, has fragmented the forest. Roads have been cut through pristine areas. Agricultural expansion has pushed into the lower elevations, and urban development along the Caspian coast consumes forest margins. But it's not all doom and gloom. There is some good news, because there's recognition of what's at stake here. In 2019, these forests were designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site, acknowledging their global importance. Numerous protected areas exist along the region, though enforcement, it varies. These include a host of national parks and protected areas, as well as wildlife refuges. One of the largest being the Golistan National Park, located in northeastern Iran. Local conservation groups are working to balance the human needs with forest preservation. Ecotourism initiatives here provide economic alternatives to logging. There are even proposals to reintroduce certain species, especially tigers, specifically the Siberian tiger. However, this remains controversial and complex. What's possible is restoring degraded areas, reconnecting fragments, and protecting what does remain. While the wildlife and biodiversity here is immense, the story of human settlements and culture might be just as interesting. The area just to the north of the Alborz Mountains is dotted with many small towns and some cities. The economy here has historically revolved around rice cultivation. The abundant water and mild temperatures create perfect conditions for growing rice. And then there's tea. Iran's tea industry is centered entirely in these northern provinces. The combination of the elevation, rainfall, and slightly acidic soil creates ideal conditions for growing tea. And because of this, tea plantations spread across steep hillsides above valleys, the green bushes forming geometric patterns on the slopes. The people and ethnic groups of this region have their own unique culture. These include ethnic groups like the Gelaki and the Mazandarani. Their traditional music and festivals reflect the forest and agricultural lifestyle. But like many other parts of the world, times here are changing. The Caspian coast has become Iran's domestic tourism destination. Larger cities in the region like Rasht have grown significantly. Second homes and resorts dot the coastline. Summer weekend brings traffic jams and people escape Tehran's heat for the cool, green northern regions. This influx of tourists brings in money, yes, but also pressure. More roads mean more forest fragmentation. More buildings mean less forest. Pollution, waste, overdevelopment, all potentially can threaten the forest's future. But if tourism is done correctly in a sustainable fashion, it gives locals the economic incentive to preserve rather than exploit. Traditional villages are being restored as cultural destinations here. Forest lodges can offer immense experiences that bring people closer to this ancient ecosystem. For millennia, humans and forests have coexisted in this region. The challenge now is to ensure that this coexistence continues, and that the economic needs of locals in the area doesn't destroy what makes this place unique. So in a country primarily defined by deserts and dry mountains, where water is precious and green spaces are carved out through irrigation and human effort, here is a region that really stands out. In a way, it kind of feels like another country entirely. While the plateau to the south adapted to scarcity, these communities built their lives around abundance. But it's just proof that Iran isn't just one landscape, it's many. This ecological diversity is something we rarely acknowledge about the Middle East and this entire region. So if there's just one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's to realize that the world is a lot more diverse than we think, and to not judge a book by its cover. Unfortunately, many times our knowledge of the world is defined by the media and whichever narrative they're trying to push at that time. So sometimes, to best understand, we must explore for ourselves. And as always, if you like content like this, remember to give this video a like. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.